In 60 years of independence, Burkina Faso paved just 3,642 kilometers of road. Now, Captain Ibrahim Traoré's government claims it's laying 3,000 to 5,000 new kilometers every single year. If true, this is one of the most aggressive road revolutions anywhere on the African continent. Satellite analysis suggests the real figure is closer to 2,000. But to understand why these roads matter far more than the numbers suggest, you first have to understand what it costs to be landlocked in the Sahel. Consider a market trader in Bobo Dioulasso loading tomatoes onto a flatbed truck at dawn. For her, a washed-out road threatens to wipe out her weekly income, cause food prices in the next town to spike, and leave her inventory to rot under the West African sun. Agriculture drives 16% of Burkina Faso's gross domestic product and employs a quarter of the workforce, making daily survival highly sensitive to physical connectivity. The challenge deepens at the national borders. As a landlocked nation, Burkina Faso pays a permanent geographic penalty. Over 80% of its external trade must travel through neighboring countries to reach Atlantic ports, relying on 4 primary transit arteries: the Abidjan Corridor in Ivory Coast, Tema in Ghana, Lomé in Togo, and Cotonou in Benin. Moving goods along these pathways means contending with thousands of kilometers of variable road quality, checkpoints, and unpredictable border delays that can halt cargo for days, driving up import costs for basic necessities. Internally, the secondary road network is highly fragile. During the rainy season from June to September, intense downpours routinely transform unpaved rural tracks into impassable channels of mud. This seasonal paralysis cuts off farming villages from regional distribution hubs, schools, and medical clinics. When physical access fails, local commerce collapses, turning a technical transport problem into an urgent crisis of governance. For the state, maintaining a reliable road network is not a luxury, it is the absolute baseline for economic survival, healthcare delivery, and state authority. When Burkina Faso gained independence from France in 1960, it inherited a transport network designed for extraction rather than domestic unity. Colonial planners laid paths primarily to haul resources toward coastal ports, leaving the interior largely disconnected. For the next 62 years, successive administrations managed this deficit through a series of short-term maintenance plans and donor-funded patches. The network remained vulnerable, struggling under heavy truck traffic and seasonal rains, while rural areas were left to decay. By the time Captain Ibrahim Traoré assumed power in September 2022, Burkina Faso possessed a total of just 3,642 kilometers of paved roads. This modest footprint, accumulated over more than 6 decades of statehood, meant that the overwhelming majority of the nation's primary transit routes remained dirt and gravel. This massive backlog of under-maintained routes created a highly visible political opportunity. For decades, crumbling corridors had served as a quiet indicator of a struggling state, one unable to secure its territory or support its farmers. By focusing on road construction, Traoré turned public works into a direct measure of his government's competence. The challenge was clear. The public did not need to be convinced that roads were necessary. Instead, the administration had to prove it could build them on a scale and at a speed that civilian leaders never achieved. It established a concrete test of state authority, linking the simple act of laying asphalt to the survival and legitimacy of the government itself. To meet this self-imposed test, the military administration launched an infrastructure campaign of unprecedented scale. Under the banner of the Fasomêbo initiative, the state announced an annual target of laying 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers of newly tarred roads. To power this rapid build-out, the government assembled a state-controlled fleet of over 900 heavy machines, valued at 200 billion CFA francs. This massive fleet, consisting of hundreds of imported and restored bulldozers, graders, and excavators, was assigned directly to military engineering units and domestic construction teams, presented to the public as the physical engine of a self-reliant nation. The crown jewel of this national mobilization is the Ouagadougou to Bobo-Dioulasso corridor. Officially launched on December 16, 2025, this project is designed as an expansive 8-lane expressway with a 100-meter right-of-way. The government earmarked 200 billion CFA francs from its domestic budget to finance the highway, framing it as a completely self-funded venture built without any external borrowing. State communication channels quickly promoted the route as the longest and most modern highway in West Africa, turning a critical transit artery into a grand symbol of domestic engineering and state capacity. By positioning these massive public works at the center of national life, the administration turned asphalt into political capital. This highly visible construction acts as an effective legitimacy engine, where every freshly paved kilometer is sold as proof of sovereign competence. Yet, the sheer speed and volume of these promises invite immediate scrutiny. Laying thousands of kilometers of highway requires massive logistical coordination and secure supply lines, raising a fundamental question: can a state with historic infrastructure deficits actually build at the rapid pace it claims? Underpinning this entire construction drive is a fundamental shift in how Burkina Faso pays for its development. Historically dependent on external aid, the country is increasingly relying on its own underground wealth. Gold exports have become the primary economic engine, with state revenues from the metal climbing from $930 million in 2023 to $1.34 billion in 2025. This revenue surge was accelerated by the nationalization of 5 gold assets, including Wagnion Gold and Semafo Bungu, which transferred ownership to the state-owned miner Sopaimaïbi. To channel these resources directly into public works, the military administration established the Sinian Segui Sovereign Mining Fund in May 2026. By keeping this fund off budget, the government can earmark gold royalties and taxes specifically for strategic projects like the Ouagadougou Bobo-Dioulasso Expressway, bypassing traditional bureaucratic channels and reducing visible foreign dependence. Yet, domestic gold cannot cover the entire bill. Burkina Faso still relies on a complex stack of external finance. The African Development Bank provided an $80.3 million loan for road and rail upgrades, paired with a €70.34 million grant from the African Development Fund. Meanwhile, the United States-backed Millennium Challenge Corporation funded a $194 million roads project to pave 525 kilometers of primary routes. These foreign-funded programs come with strict oversight and stark economic assessments. The Millennium Challenge Corporation's own analysis of its road project estimated a negative 20-year economic rate of return of -3.3%, suggesting that high-quality, high-cost road investments do not automatically generate positive financial returns. This exposes the central tension of the road push. While funding can be secured through resource extraction and donor pools, translating capital into functional, high-quality asphalt remains a delicate balancing act. To translate capital into physical asphalt, the administration bypassed traditional bureaucratic channels. In April 2026, the government transferred 776 pieces of heavy construction equipment, consisting of both restored machinery and newly imported consignments ordered from China, directly to military engineering units. This shift placed the Army's Military Engineering Construction Company at the center of the nation's development agenda. By utilizing military personnel alongside local, direct award domestic firms, the state is attempting to build an entirely self-reliant construction machine. For a young Burkinabe road worker on these crews, this mobilized state machine represents a rare pathway to steady wages, technical skills, and stable employment. Yet placing military uniforms on bulldozers fundamentally alters the civilian nature of public works. It integrates infrastructure directly with national defense, allowing road construction to push through high-risk, unstable zones where private commercial contractors refuse to operate. But this state-directed approach also insulates the building process from public oversight. Burkina Faso currently lacks a centralized, searchable procurement portal, leaving the contract terms, pricing structures, and identities of local subcontractors largely shielded from public view. This opacity makes verifying the cost-effectiveness of these projects difficult. For example, a recently disclosed 22-kilometer urban road project in Ouagadougou carries a price tag of $71 million. At roughly $3.2 million per kilometer, this cost is more than double the regional West African benchmark of $1.5 million per kilometer. While the military-led model delivers speed, immediate employment, and political sovereignty, it also introduces substantial procurement risks and price distortions. The rapid delivery of new roads is highly visible, but the absence of open competition raises critical, unanswered questions about the long-term price of Burkina Faso's self-funded infrastructure push. To measure the physical truth of this infrastructure push, researchers look to orbit. While the military administration claims an annual target of 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers of newly tarred roads, independent verification relies on hard empirical data. Multi-sensor satellite mapping using the Sentinel-2 and Landsat archives tells a more conservative story. Between 2025 and 2026, satellite change detection analysis identified approximately 1,800 kilometers of newly paved or heavily upgraded roads across Burkina Faso. To capture what optical sensors might miss, deep learning algorithms developed by Satellogic and SpaceNO analyzed high-resolution commercial imagery, flagging an additional 250 kilometers of thin overlay resurfacing. Field validation campaigns conducted by local non-governmental organizations and United Nations pilots confirmed 92% of these segments, while discovering another 50 kilometers of localized work laid with granular asphalt mixes that blend visually into the Sahelian dirt. Combined, these independent data streams show roughly 2,100 kilometers of actual road activity in a single year. While this represents a historic acceleration of physical construction, it is 30 to 45% lower than the government's lowest stated target. This gap is not merely a technical error. Satellite mapping has clear limitations. Optical sensors only register completed asphalt, missing active grading, in-progress sub-base preparation, or projects delayed by seasonal cloud cover. However, the lack of public transparency makes it impossible to reconcile these orbital findings with official records. Burkina Faso's Ministry of Infrastructure has published no detailed annual road tables, project lists, or contractor registers for 2025 or 2026. Without a centralized, searchable procurement database, The public cannot verify whether the unrecorded kilometers exist on the ground, are stalled in development, or remain confined to administrative planning. The physical progress is substantial, but without transparent data, the true scale of the road revolution remains open to debate. A paved road in the Sahel is a dual-use asset. For the military administration in Ouagadougou, smooth asphalt allows rapid troop deployments and swift supply runs to remote outposts besieged by armed groups. Yet, for those same insurgent networks, these upgraded corridors offer high-speed transit routes across highly porous borders, allowing fighters to move weapons and personnel deep into neighboring territories with ease. This security risk reshapes Burkina Faso's diplomatic bargaining with its coastal neighbors. When a landlocked state upgrades its transport infrastructure, border efficiency becomes a highly political issue. Along the Accra to Ouagadougou corridor, physical improvements must be paired with policy changes. To manage this flow, Burkina Faso and Ghana signed 7 bilateral agreements aimed at simplifying customs, modernizing border posts, and integrating digital payments. These agreements target a projected 7.7 billion CFA francs in annual trade, trying to eliminate the costly border delays that keep cargo idling for days. For a transport operator driving a heavy freight rig from the port of Tema, these reforms are a matter of survival. Every hour saved at a border checkpoint reduces the risk of cargo theft, lowers fuel costs, and minimizes exposure to roadside ambushes in volatile frontier zones. Better roads can pull isolated communities back into the national fold and lower the cost of imports. But in a region facing active insurgencies, these same open corridors remain vulnerable to sabotage, turning physical connectivity into a permanent security trade-off. The true test of a road in the Sahel does not occur during its inauguration. It happens between June and September, when intense seasonal downpours strike the parched earth, followed by months of dry, baking heat. This extreme weather cycle causes rapid cracking and rutting, with flood-related erosion triggering 38% of all road maintenance requests in 2024. To prevent these new corridors from dissolving back into the dirt, Burkina Faso relies on matching fund mechanisms. The African Development Bank's Transport Sector Support Project targets the periodic resurfacing of 1,200 kilometers of primary roads, while the United States-backed Millennium Challenge Corporation mandates domestic funding matches to keep 525 kilometers of routes functional. Building these corridors also exposes administrative friction on the ground. Expanding highways requires land, yet Burkina Faso's expropriation laws lack clear market valuation standards. Despite a 2023 fast-track directive to accelerate processing times, only 58% of affected households received their compensation within the legal 90-day window in 2024, leaving families in prolonged financial limbo. Yet, where asphalt remains intact, the human impact is immediate. Every single kilometer of all-weather road reduces travel time to the nearest health clinic by 12 minutes, raising the survival rate of obstetric emergencies by 18%. For rural communities, these pathways are also classrooms. Villages within 5 kilometers of a paved road see a 9% increase in primary school attendance. The ultimate success of Burkina Faso's infrastructure drive will not be measured by the length of its announcements, but by its capacity to maintain what is built, transforming seasonal tracks into permanent lifelines. As asphalt cuts through the Sahel, these corridors represent more than commerce. They are a high-stakes gamble on state survival. If they hold, Burkina Faso redraws the blueprint for African sovereignty. If they fracture under the region's intense pressures, The cost will be measured in more than just failed loans. The path is set. The world is watching. Share your perspective in the comments.